All right, welcome back, everybody. Now, last week, Cabinet approved the appointment of Mark Barnes as the new Group Chief Executive Officer of the South African Post Office. After a long period of instability due to financial mismanagement, the situation was so dire that last year, government put the entity under administration. So the appointment of a permanent CEO comes at the most trying time for the Post Office. I suppose news that his tough talk has been welcomed by many. So this morning, Mark Barnes is in studio with us this morning to talk about your post office and how it's going to move forward. Thank you so much, Mark. Welcome into studio.
Yeah.
This is, I suppose, the most ambitious task you've ever undertaken.
Yeah, I think it is actually, but I didn't submit a CV, I submitted a plan.
Yeah.
I think that at the heart of it all is the fundamental belief I have that government and business and labor can actually work together to produce a result, and perhaps more importantly, if they don't, they won't produce a result. Okay,
yeah.
So I think that there's enough trouble out there. People come together as common cause either because they're persuaded by good leadership or because they're scared. Okay, we've got reason to worry about the post office losing 100 million rand a month, orders of magnitude. But if you think about the post office and don't call it the post office, you get a picture that looks like this. 2,500 points of representation around the country, 1,500 branches, something like 50 million registered clients,
yeah.
Corporate and private sector. And if you start looking at the valuation metrics that apply to Facebook and Twitter and Naspers and so on, they're all centered around client interfaces, okay, Uber and so on. So we have an extraordinarily installed base that's capable of logistics, financial services, rollouts of competing with the private sector offerings of couriers and so on, and yet it's not doing it. It's not standing up to take that challenge. It's an old-fashioned business, and the solutions that were being put forward were about cutting it and making it smaller, and retrenching workers, and closing branches and so on. Well, in my view, you can't make an old business better by just making it smaller. You've got to change it. You've got to bring it, kicking and screaming if it has to be, into the modern world. If you look at this year, the Japan Post Office listed was the biggest listing in Japan. If you look at the success of Royal Mail, if you look at what's happened in Italy, if you look at the sort of joint ventures that are happening with Post Office, like Amazon tying up with United Parcel Service in the US, and you start thinking about what the Post Office is, you start painting a picture of a modern e-commerce integrated, economic entity that can grow, not cut.
Yeah.
Okay. And we right now, we're looking at GDP growth of sort of below 1.5%. We need 5% to grow, and we need that economic foundation to accommodate political transformation. You can't have political transformation without money. Okay, and so I'm saying the solution to South Africa's economic challenges and therefore political challenges are growth, not constraint.
Yeah.
And so that's the sort of plan I put forward to the government. And I must tell you, they enthusiastically embraced it.
Good.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions that jump to mind is the fact that is the post office still relevant? I mean, some of the examples you've given of an international standard, they are very, very relevant. But a lot of people have sort of worked around the post office now and thought, well, we don't need you. You're not reliable, so let's just find something else to do. How do you make yourself relevant again?
That's not a post office issue. That's a modern day, old day issue. People have worked around. We've got a dual economy in South Africa. Okay, people have worked around the healthcare system. People have worked around the education system. These things have been privatized for those who can afford it.
Yeah.
People have worked around the security system. People have worked around the electricity system. Okay, so when an outdated organization doesn't deliver what the public require, they find another way. So if your cell phone that you've just posted from Sandton to Centurion doesn't get there intact and on time, you hire a courier at 10, 15, 20 times the cost than you were prepared to pay before. Now I'm saying, why can't we deliver a cell phone in time, on tact to Centurion? Well, we can if we've got the right culture. And part of that culture is about having a reason to get up in the morning and go to work. Okay, if you were working for the post office today, you'd go, what's the point, man? This is a dying, flailing organization. Yeah. They're going to retrench us. Well, what's the point? But if I presented you a forward growth strategy and some participative economics for us to share, if we get it right, okay, you might change your mind and you might attitudinally start delivering that world-class service, because inside us all is a desire for economic dignity. Okay, it's just there. And you need to people need the leadership. They need to see a picture that is going to win, and they'll come. We're a strong entrepreneur country. You know, people say we aren't, but I get up sometimes early in the morning because I'm old, and I look out the window at 4:30 in the morning. People in this country are walking to work.
Yeah.
Well, don't tell me we haven't got energy. So let's just harness that energy. Let's bring ourselves up to date with what is an extraordinary infrastructure. You know, I mean, we could deliver, antiretrovirals at post offices just around the corner. Why must people get in a taxi, drive all the way to Johannesburg, waste a whole economic day of their lives? We could deliver education through the post office, download it onto your whatever, iPad or whatever it is that you have. We could distribute the social grants through the post office. Why don't we do that? Do you know how much we're paying to have that distributed by other banks?
Yeah.
We've got our own bank, Post Bank.
And that's what should be
okay,
done.
And the post office is down the road, man. You can walk there. Okay. Now, I went to school in Mpumalanga in a tiny little town. And near that town is a place called Carolina, and I drove through there the other day. The town is morphed to it, okay? Except for the post office. The post office is standing there. We can pull out the weeds and plant some flowers, and we can start thinking about that as a community center again, as it used to be. We can start thinking about the post office raising its own capital. There used to be post office bonds, man, and then if we do that, we can start relieving the government of its obligation to underwrite the needs of the post office. If we do that, we can lower the cost of capital for the country. Yeah. If we do that, we've got a new life.
So you mentioned.
Don't tell me the post office. Oh, we've just begun, man.
You've just begun. So you're gonna reinvent the post office, which is about time. But a lot of people. I mean, you said one word that I think it's made a lot of people happy, but unions unhappy. Not that I imagine it's your plan, but that word privatization keeps on coming up. Is that in your business plan?
Privatization's not on the table.
Not even a thought.
It's not even a thought. But I'll tell you what is a thought. Is having an organization that can attract its own capital. That doesn't mean it has to be equity capital. That doesn't mean it has to list on the stock market, but it has to look like it could. It has to be a valid organization. Privatization is not on the table, not part of the speech.
Yeah. So that's something we can wipe out completely, because a lot of people are asking for it.
Well, who knows? I mean, it's happened around the world, but it's not what drove this decision. I didn't present a plan to the government that asked for privatization. I presented a plan to government that asked for some support for an economic outcome that was successful and attractive as an investment opportunity. Okay, because when you spend money, it's either an investment or a cost. You've got to decide which it is.
Yeah.
At the moment, the post office is a cost, an expense. It should be an investment in the future. Now, in 5 years' time, if we've got a functional, up and ready, economically attractive post office, you might decide you might want to do a telecom with it. You might not. I don't know. But that wasn't the driver of the plan at all.
Okay.
And, the unions, I know we're going to have discussions with the unions. My message to the union starts off like this. I've come to help. That's all.
Yeah.
I've come here to help. Engage with me. Please work with us. And, we can create an opportunity for people that work at post office instead of a burden. And we'll work it out.
Just very quick.
We're all South Africans.
And we all want to make the country work.
Yeah.
But just one last question. Retrenchments and closures, are they still in the pipeline?
I don't have enough information to answer that question. And when I start in January, I think for the first 3 months I must just, go into lockdown and understand fully what's going on there and fully what the opportunities are. But I will start off by saying I've come there to grow something, not to kill it. And, hopefully that drives us into opportunity rather than restraint.
Mark Barnes, thank you so much. Many people loving your enthusiasm and hoping that your enthusiasm translates into a turnaround business. I mean, to take something that's losing 100 million rand a month and make it into a profitable business, it's a big challenge, but good luck.
It's a lot of fun, man.
It's going to be fun. Yeah. All right, fun. Not the word that came to mind, but nonetheless, if it comes to your mind, we're in safe hands. Mark Barnes, this is your new CEO of the Post Office. Let us know what you think. Can Mark do the job, or what do you want to see changed at the Post Office? I mean, the Post Office is something that's always been there, and will it always be there under Mark's leadership? So let us know. Let's take a break. See you after this. Thank you.